Hello, everyone. I'm back to continue my tier ranking series where I'm going to be ranking an artist that I particularly am fond of. This time around, it is Miley Cyrus, Miss Miley, as Dolly used to always call her. I use TierMaker, this website. We're all familiar with it. We do the whole thing. I created my own tier making template for this one just because the ones I was seeing on the site didn't have Endless Summer Vacation, or they had all the Hannah Montana songs, which controversial, but I've decided not to include the Hannah records. I feel like, Miley is playing a persona that's not her when she's putting out music as Hannah. And I just, partly to keep this video slightly shorter, but also just because I feel like Hannah Montana is like a separate thing. Maybe one day I'll sit down and I'll do a tier ranking or some sort of ranking video about all of her Hannah stuff. But this is all going to be stuff that's credited to Miley, the real person. That also means that the other alias, because Miley has another alias that she has two songs to her name to, well, not her name, Ashley O's name, from Black Mirror, the Netflix show. There's an episode where she plays sort of this AI pop star doll, and Ashley O is its name, and she puts on these songs that are available on streaming and everything. But I chose ultimately not to include the Ashley O tracks either. So I'm sorry if people are going to be like, well, it's not a full Miley video if you're not including the Hannah Montana and the Ashley O stuff. I'm sorry, I'm focusing just on Miley. I'm also mostly just focusing on things that you can find on Apple Music, on Spotify, all the deep dive, like bonus tracks that like are really hard to find, and like from, B-sides that aren't like on streaming are not going to be on this video. Also, she's done a ton of live performances, a ton of covers. I didn't realize just how many songs Miley has covered. A lot of them actually have been released, with studio cuts. And I've only chosen to include a couple that I feel like are more hers than they are a collaboration with another artist, especially if they're actually on a record of hers, then they're definitely going to be included. But there are a ton of covers that she's done. There are also a ton of collaborations. She was on the Charlie's Angels soundtrack with Ariana Grande and Lana Del Rey. She performed with the Jonas Brothers, Selena Gomez, and Demi Lovato for Sent It On in 2009. She collaborated with Mike Will Made It, and some other rapper. I can't remember which. Pardon me. Not a big rap, hip hop guy, for the song 23 in 2013. Snoop Lion, she did a song with. She's collaborated with a ton of other artists, but unless they're on a record of hers, I've chosen not to include them. That includes Nothing Breaks Like a Heart by Mark Ronson. That is technically a Mark Ronson song, not a Miley song, even though you could make the argument that she claims ownership of it as well, but it's on Mark Ronson's record, not Miley's. So anyway, just to explain why some of those songs are not here on this list. So let's get into this tier template. This is the one I've created, and as you can see, I actually have 7 categories here. So going from the bottom to the top, we are going to start out with, I try and do this if you've watched any of my other tier ranking videos, I try and name each tier after a song from that artist. So I chose the song Unholy to represent the very bottom, the worst of the worst. I really honestly I think there's maybe going to be one song that goes in this category, because above it I have Bad Mood, and one could argue that both of these are equally bad, but Bad Mood is just maybe marginally better. I want to have more categories, but I also recognize that it gets harder to sort of justify which goes in which when you have so many different, categories that are all sort of like D tier or F tier. But I have 2 tiers, so that, more of the bad songs will go in Bad Mood. There's probably only going to be like one song that goes in Unholy. Then we have wild cards. So these are the songs that still don't really pass for me, but, given maybe a specific mood that I might be in, I might be more feeling it. Maybe it took just a long time for me to get into it, or maybe it's a song I liked at the beginning and now don't. It's just songs I don't really have an affinity for. Maybe I don't really want them on my phone. I'm not really streaming them. But I do respect them a little bit more to not want to put them in like bad categories. And of course, again, these are all Miley songs. Miley fans should all recognize them. Simple song, straight in the middle of the road, nothing offensive, nothing really to phone home about either though. But we're starting to get into the more like positive, C and above categories here. These are songs that I would have on my phone, probably songs I could enjoy, simple song. It's just a good tune. Maybe it's not that, you know, exciting or creative, but I still have a fondness for it. And then we have the three high categories. We have Let's Dance. These are sort of like the songs I like, I just don't like them as much as the tiers above them. Adore You, we're getting into the A tier here, and then we have A plus, I Would Die for You. These are the A plus songs. Only a handful are going to go in this top tier here. So I believe when I put in and inputted all of these screenshots for the TierMaker template, we have around 132 songs that I'm going to be ranking today. So it's not the longest I've done. That will go to Madonna. Madonna's one took forever. But we got a lot here, and for some reason they did not input in chronological order, even though I tried to make it so that was the case. TierMaker, I had some trouble with setting this up. Anyway, TierMaker can be a little bit finicky. So I do want to start in chronological order. So I do want to go all the way back to 2007 when Meet Miley Cyrus came out. So as you might remember, this was a joint album release alongside the Hannah Montana 2 soundtrack. It was a nice way of giving us the second soundtrack of Hannah Montana, but also giving us side B, which was Meet Miley Cyrus. And I remember at the time not really understanding that these were two separate records. I kind of thought of it as all just one record. I remember listening to it when I was in, 14 years old that summer. And both, it all kind of blended together to me. I wasn't really thinking this is a Hannah song, this is a Miley song, because at the time I didn't really know Miley outside of Hannah. None of us did. So it's funny to go back and think about how Start All Over, which was the lead single from this record, was officially Miley's introduction, even though Best of Both Worlds a year earlier was technically Miley's introduction as Hannah. So we have See You Again, which was the first track on the record, and See You Again is iconic. I think we all can agree. And I wouldn't quite put it in I Would Die for You, but I would definitely put it in Adore You. It's this rocking kind of Western electro pop song that really packs a punch. It feels very modern. It doesn't feel dated. It's probably one of the most, jaw-dropping tracks off of her debut record. It really should have gotten a music video. I still, to this day, am so mad that Start All Over got that treatment and not See You Again, especially since See You Again is the first song on the record. It would have just made so much more sense for this to have been Miley's intro single. Start All Over, as you'll see when I get to it, is kind of forgettable. But East Northumberland High, track 2, is definitely one I had to revisit for this video. I remember as a teenager not really gravitating towards this one. Felt a little bit aimless, pop rock, but safe. Not something that I felt entirely captivated by. So I've got to be completely honest with you. I'm really kind of feeling wild card for this one. It's definitely grown on me now that I'm re-listening to it. I had to refamiliarize myself with some of this music for this video, but I'm just feeling it right now as a wild card. Spoiler and forewarning, this is going to be a very controversial video for Miley fans, as all of my tier ranking videos always are. It's like I do this to get, comments to just tell me how wrong I am, right? I love it when you tell me how wrong I am with these lists. And it's cool because honestly, it's just my list. It is not the right list. It's just how I feel. So let's, keep that in mind. But Let's Dance, this was the other big bop from the record. Being 14 years old and dancing to this song and just letting go as this closeted gay kid was, I cannot recommend it enough. And yeah, I mean, is it really a song I would phone home about so much that I feel like it needs to go in Adore You's category? For now, I'm going to put it in Let's Dance, its namesake, but this song could move around. I will be reordering things once I've gone through the entire ranking. I will move songs around. I'll do that on camera so you can see, but for now, I'm just going to sort of let them fall chronologically. Girls' Night Out. Again, as a teenager, this was one I didn't love as much, so I had to kind of revisit. It's fine. It's fine. I don't love it. So I'm gonna put it in wild card, but I would put it above East Northumberland High. I'm being a little harsh on her debut, but I really think her debut is hit or miss. Don't we all agree? Like, there's some really good songs, and then there are some like obviously like like teenage girly bop Disney Channel, like what you'd expect from like certain records that have come out from similar stars. It's not exactly uh highbrow. Right here. So this is the more sort of angsty, the more heartfelt classic rock, the rock-driven Miley stuff that really shines on this record. Right here is a strong one, definitely going in Let's Dance. As I Am is probably over. Right here, I don't like it as much. And so for that, it's going to go in Simple Song. I respect it. I'm just not feeling as strongly about the melody. Don't feel quite as drawn to it. It's kind of forgettable. Um, a Start All Over, again, I feel like this kind of has to go in Simple Song. I think it's very much middle of the road. I honestly could see it going in Wild Card because if it didn't have the notoriety of being her first big single with a music video, I don't know if I would give it as much credit as it's getting by being put in that category. So Clear is definitely like a very demo-esque sounding song. It sounds purposely almost purposely asinine in some ways, but you know what? Because I have a familiarity with it, I don't cringe at this song as much as some people might because I grew up with it. It was one of the other early, Miley songs that did end up being on my iPod at 14 years old. Like I said, about half this album did, the other half just sort of went out the window. And yeah, I liked Miley on this sort of reggae beat. I thought it was fun. I enjoyed it. But, I have to appreciate that, it's definitely not like one of her better songs. Um, I mean, as I'm looking at this list, it's sort of like, gosh, I haven't put anything in Bad Mood yet. Will there be anything on this record that goes there? I don't think so. And that might be a little bit, because Good and Broken certainly ain't going in the low categories, okay? One of the other strong, strong songs. Honestly, I could make a case for Adore You for it. I really could. I could make a case for Adore You. Yeah, I'm putting it up there. I'm putting it up there. It's classic Miley. It's an interesting melody. I Miss You is interesting because I honestly seem to remember it feels like a what's it called? Mandela Effect thing. I could have sworn that this was a Hannah song all along and that it was on the Hannah Montana side of the CD. But it was a Miley song. And the reason why I'm confused is because I remember they played it on the show. Like Miley actually performs it, which, Miley never performed any of her Miley songs on Hannah Montana. That was always like, separation of church and state, kind of like let's keep these things separate. But it was performed on the show, so that made me think it was a Hannah song. But I guess, it was performed kind of like just with her guitar at home. It wasn't on stage or anything. So it clearly wasn't part of the Hannah discography. And yeah, I'm gonna put it in Let's Dance. It's obviously not a dancing song, but the category of, B plus, that kind of category. It's a strong melody. It's very touching and very heartfelt. Honestly, it's hard to forget that like Miley's mom is actually alive because this song in the show is dedicated to Miley Stewart's deceased mother. Because if you remember on the show, her father, who is in real life Billy Ray Cyrus, who plays Billy Ray Stewart on the show, her father in the show, she lost her mother very young in the canon of Hannah Montana. And so growing up, I always thought Miley, because, it was her real dad playing her real father. So I thought, well, her mother must have passed away too. It wasn't until I was a little older that I was like, oh, her mother Tish is very much alive and always been a part of her life. So it's like, oh, okay, that was just a choice they made for the show. But when they play it, I always think it's, for her deceased mother. But actually, Miley wrote it for, I believe it was for her grandpa, who had passed away around at the time. So one of her grandparents. So she was channeling that into the Hannah Montana role, the Miley Stewart role, making it about her mother. But in real life, it was written about a family member, a deceased grandfather. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's a beautiful song. I just always thought it was a Hannah song, not a Miley one. It's just so funny how that happens. All right, moving on, we come to 2008. The next record Miley released was Breakout. I definitely think this is one of Miley's strongest records, which I don't think is controversial to say. I mean, she was still very young. I'm the same age as Miley Cyrus, so it's crazy to think, when this came out, I was 15 years old. She was also 15 years old, and just like being able to, I know a lot of these songs were not written by her, but she definitely had a hand in some of it. A lot of these songs were from other artists. A bunch of them are covers. But she sounds really good, really mature for these songs. Now, Breakout is definitely dated for not only the sound of the time of music she was doing, the Disney Channel rock thing, but it's also very much, for people who are a certain age, teen pop kind of lyrics about being young and wanting to go to the mall with your friends. I'm going to put it in simple song. It's middle of the road for me. I did listen to it a lot when it came out. I do prefer it over Start All Over. But Seven Things was the flagship single, one of her top 10 hits of her career. And I think putting Seven Things and I Would Die For You is not a stretch. I think that, it deserves to be one of her most famous songs, especially from her early Disney Channel days. And, it's funny because, like, when I was young and it came out, I don't remember completely falling in love with it just because the choruses are so aggressive and very kind of like heavy and shouty, and I wasn't really into that kind of grungy kind of punk music at the time. I was very much into like very clear melody stuff and a little bit less rock kind of oriented stuff, and now I'm just like, it couldn't have it any other way. It's also really brilliantly and cleverly written. So again, just Miley will always be iconic for that song. But The Driveway, oh, this is a song. This is a song. These are the types of power ballads that Miley can do no wrong on. And it's the kind of music that I really want from her. She can do a lot of different genres and she's really experimented, trust me. But it's definitely going in Adore You. This is top tier stuff for me. This song is just like, she has no business writing something like so young that feels so, I mean, it is very much like teenage boy next door, girl next door romance that would fit her age at the time, but it also feels so mature and like it feels like she's been through shit. I'm like, you're 15, we're 15. What have we been through? Speaking of covers, we have a Cyndi Lauper cover. I do prefer this one to Girls Night Out. But that's largely because, it's the Cyndi Lauper song. I'm still going to put it in simple song. I don't want to put it in Let's Dance. Well, okay. I don't know. I guess I'll put it in Let's Dance because I do enjoy it. It's a cover, so I have to knock some points there. Obviously, it's not original. Um, Full Circle. Again, not quite as strong as The Driveway, but some really wonderful kind of vocal dynamics. Oh. Like she really gets those sounds in her throat, which I don't know, very enjoyable to listen to. It's got really interesting dynamics to this one. So it's definitely going in Let's Dance. The Breakout is definitely gonna be high up for me. Fly on the Wall, has some really funny vocal distortions. She definitely is somewhat humorous in this one, but it's also so relatable. So catchy. One of her catchiest like hooks you cannot escape. And so for that reason, it's definitely going in Let's Dance. Um, Bottom of the Ocean. Bottom of the Ocean. Girl, let's talk about this song. I've not reviewed this album. I haven't reviewed a ton of Miley on this channel, so it's great because it's giving me a chance to talk about songs I haven't talked about before. I loved this song from first listen. It was my favorite at 15 when I first heard it, and to this day, it is still. Oh gosh, I'd really put it in between these two categories. I feel like I need to, the top and bottom, I need to be like conservative about. There's a very good chance that this song is going to shoot up to the top category, okay, when I do a reshuffle. But Bottom of the Ocean is just so calming and mesmerizing, and I don't know. I don't feel like other artists, Disney Channel artists, were making. I don't know. I don't know. It's just really a journey. It's a great journey of a song. Great ambiance. And her voice is just like perfect on it. Wake Up America, this is her Inconvenient Truth. Al Gore could have used this one for an Inconvenient Truth. This is her climate change song. Well, it's not just about climate change, but it is predominantly about that. And I remember at the time, again, it's like a heavier rock song, and I was sort of like, it's fine. It's not like something that's going on my iPod. Um, Honestly, I'm gonna put it in simple song. I think it's inoffensive and fine. It's got a great message. It's still unfortunately very pertinent today. And, that line of, "I know you don't like to hear something like this coming from someone so young," that line hits very true. So, it's an important song. It's an important song. These Four Walls. These Four Walls. I was disappointed to learn that this is a cover, but I learned it years ago. Cheyenne Kimball, her song, it's a country song. I've never heard the original, so I honestly feel like I should pay homage to that, but Miley does her thing on this one, okay? Her vocals are just so good. I cannot get enough of this song. It's Going and Adore You. I don't care that it's a cover. I mean, like I said, Miley didn't really write most of this anyway. Miley was just actor at Disney Channel getting songs thrown at her to record in the studio. She had some input on some things, but at this stage, Miley was very much, it's just the way it is. You can't really blame her. I mean, she was so young. But she does have some co-writing credits on this record. So, she definitely is getting into the writing stuff on this one, not so much on the first one. Not on Simple Song, though. She does not have a writing credit on Simple Song. Simple Song, I think, honestly, probably does belong in its namesake. I really enjoy it. The sort of abrupt verse to chorus change up was very harsh and sudden to me when I was listening to it at the time. It kind of turned me off to the song because I wasn't really vibing it. That I kind of like the piano and everything, and then it's like very crashing. Now I wouldn't have it any other way. It's definitely not a skip. Honestly, on Breakout, there aren't really any skips for me. Maybe Wake Up America, but that's like, I still don't mind it. And then Goodbye. Yeah, Miley definitely has a co-writing credit on this one. This is another one where I'm like, girl, you're only 15. How are you putting this together? Like, it feels like you've lived so much more. I don't know. I think it's, interesting that we just don't see a lot of artists coming up. And with the exception of like when Billie debuted, we don't see a lot of like 14, 15-year-olds getting hit albums and like really debuting in the music industry at such a young age anymore. We don't see that as much. But she's so mature in these songs. And Goodbye is just devastating. Devastating breakup song with such nostalgia. It's definitely going in Adore You. So I know I said I would not do songs that are not featured on streaming services, but because I did buy the physical CD of the deluxe edition of Breakout, there are 2 bonus tracks that you cannot find on streaming services that are on the CD, and they are called Hovering and Someday. Hovering has, again, a little bit more of that feisty rock edge to it. I definitely enjoy it, but I would argue it's mostly just kind of like safe for me. Someday is a little bit more electropop, and it's got a sort of very elevated, bubbly, effervescent feel. And for that reason, it's going in Let's Dance. And if you haven't heard these songs, I do recommend them, but I prefer Someday. All right, so moving on, I'm including some movie soundtrack stuff. So I was debating whether this is technically a Miley song, but she is credited as an artist to it, along with John Travolta. The song is called I Thought I Lost You, and it is from the Bolt soundtrack. So the Bolt is a Disney animated film that Miley Cyrus voices a protagonist in. I have still, as of today, not seen this movie. I don't know how. I just never flew under the radar for me. And I will see it at some point because I do want to do a Disney animated film video at some point where I rank all Disney animated canon films. So I will have to see it for that. But anyway, it's a sweet duet, very sweet, kind of reminiscent of the duet on the Hannah Montana soundtrack with Billy Ray, I Learned From You. So it's a nice country kind of tinge duet here. And I'll go in Simple Song. Moving on to another soundtrack. It's interesting because I've seen some people do Miley tier ranking videos and they completely forget the Hannah Montana movie. And you might be thinking, well, Arthur, why are you doing the Hannah Montana movie? you said you weren't doing Hannah stuff. If you look on streaming or anywhere at the Hannah Montana movie soundtrack, it's a dual album. So meaning there are a bunch of songs that are meant to be Miley songs, not Hannah songs. And, I guess it's meant to be Miley Stewart, in the movie, but I call it, I claim it as Miley because she's credited as Miley Cyrus. Whereas, you have songs like Let's Get Crazy, which is like a Hannah song. So there are a couple Miley songs. One of them is called Don't Walk Away, and it's a fun time. Okay, one of my favorites from the soundtrack. I had not listened to it in a long time. I don't know why, I just completely forgot about it until I was making this video, but it's going in Let's Dance. We obviously have the Hoedown Throwdown, which again, I always thought was a Hannah song, but it is credited as a Miley song on the soundtrack. Again, it is iconic for the choreography that has spawned it, the, memeability, the TikTok-y ability of it. It's definitely going in Let's Dance for that reason. We have The Dream. I don't love it quite as much as like Don't Walk Away, for example. So I might put it just in simple song, but enjoyable. Notice how, again, nothing's going down in this bad category. And then we have The Climb. Now, of course, everyone knows about The Climb. That's not a Hannah song. It is a Miley song. So The Climb is obviously going up here. There's no way it wasn't. I knew when I was going to make this video. The Climb is rightfully one of arguably Miley's most memorable and successful global hits. This would be kind of the song of Miley's catalog today. There's one other song that we're getting to quickly that would probably also arguably, 2009 was a big year for Miley. She had 2 huge hits, and The Climb was one of them. And this is the ultimate inspiration song. Every time she sings it, it just, it's so loaded with nostalgia to me. It will always remind me of that time in my life, when I was turning 16 in high school, figuring things out for myself, figuring out where I was and who I was in the world. And you can sense that Miley's doing the same. Again, being the same age as her, I feel that kinship a little bit. And so that song will have a lot of extra loaded nostalgia for me in that regard. And then there is one other Billy Ray Cyrus and Miley duet called Butterfly Fly Away, which very Dolly Parton-esque, like a bittersweet, acoustic guitar number that I find absolutely heart-wrenching. Again, similar sentiments to I Miss You about, this one's about growing up, about, Miley and her father and that close relationship and how she's going to leave the nest soon, and it tugs you at the right, especially again, feeling like I was at that stage in my life too, where I was starting to grow up. It was like, oh my God, not ready to leave the nest. I'm still not. So that's the Hannah Montana soundtrack. We move on to the Time of Our Lives. Kicking and Screaming. This is a Ashlee Simpson cover. I had no idea. To be honest with you, I am not a big fan. And knowing that it's a cover, I'm a little bit less willing to give it some grace. Am I going to be really offensive here? I could put it in wild card, but it's just not, to me, it's not a song that I just feel like I need to listen to again. There are just some songs you're just like, okay, all right, that's nice. I don't know. We'll reevaluate that. But then we have Party in the USA. Now, I'm going to be honest, this song is a bit overrated. This is her other huge mega hit. And I do remember I watched the music video a ton. But you know what? I'm only going to put it in Let's Dance because to me, it's good, but it's not stellar. Especially if we're talking about her dance stuff and her high pop numbers. It's fine. It's a bit overplayed, but it is iconic. We all agree that that's the case. All right. So we're filling up that top category. When I Look at You, which is also on the Last Song soundtrack, which we'll get to in a second, but it was originally on the Time of Our Lives EP. Miley's most profound ballad. I don't know if she's ever going to top it. Just the melody in its own is just I've heard it described as a wave so many times, on the ocean, just kind of gently crashing every time with emotion. And that's the case. I mean, It is the music video, I remember seeing it and her in that just, like, sundress, like, at the piano in the sort of, like, Southern, like, Spanish moss air, and it just felt magical. It just felt like something truly romantic. Um, I wanted to be in that video, and I wanted to just feel all those emotions. Like, I was truly feeling it when that video came out. And, yeah, Miley just really knows how to sell that emotion with her beautiful, like, rich voice and that tone. So, When I Look at You is always going to be top tier. The title track, The Time of Our Lives, is a fun time. It's nice and upbeat. It gets you in a good mood. And so for that reason, it's going in Let's Dance. It's not like a song that I feel is like super memorable, but not one of the bad songs on the EP. There are a couple. There's one other song that I'm kind of like, "Ugh." I'm gonna put Talk is Cheap in Wild Card, but I got to be honest with you. I could justify putting it in Bad Mood. I'm not really. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm putting it in Bad Mood. I know that's a bit harsh. I maybe you know what to justify it. Maybe I'll move Kicking and Screaming up to Wild Card because I feel like maybe actually now that I'm like re-listening to this, yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that. That makes me feel a little bit like I'm vindicated from the angry keyboard people. I'm sure. I'm sure. I am sorry. But then we have Obsessed. Then we have Obsessed.
Oh, yeah.
I'm obsessed with this song. It's definitely going in Adore You. Um, the sentiment around it, like, it totally hit me at the time because I was definitely, in that phase where I was boy crazy and thinking about people over and over again. And, that line I try and read, but I always lose my place because I'm thinking about you. Like, it just hits so close to home for me. Then again, it's like When I Look at You, there's this breezy sort of ocean vibe to it. So it really feels, you can feel like the wind on your face when you're listening to it. And it just feels dramatic and epic and melancholic and just like pining. Oh, so much where I was in high school in that headspace. Like I still am to this day. Obsessed is underrated. I really feel like no one talks about it. It's like Miley's best underrated songs. There's one other I'm about to talk about that I also feel that way about. Before the Storm, I almost didn't include this because I believe it is also a Jonas Brothers song. I'm not sure. It's credited as Miley and the Jonas Brothers, so maybe it is like supposed to be a Miley song, but there's no studio version. It's only a live performance version. So I think if I actually was able to hear a studio version, I'd like it even more. It's it's wonderful. It's like again country, pretty leading into that, and the Jonas Brothers, they're fine. I'm gonna put it in simple song. I'm not a huge Jonas Brothers fan. I got to be honest with you. I don't really listen to their music. I'm a little bit unfamiliar with their music, though. I got to be honest. So I'm not the best judge. I just have never felt drawn to it. Um, but it does its thing. So obviously, like I said, When I Look at You is one of the Miley songs that is for the Last Song soundtrack, but we've already covered that. There is one other Miley Cyrus song, which again, I've seen a lot of people forget when they do these kinds of Miley ranking videos, and it's called I Hope You Find It. Now, actually, I remember I did watch the last song in theaters, so I do remember listening to the song, but I also don't remember like buying it on iTunes or like listening to it at home afterwards. So the version I remember is the Cher version. So the singer, the diva Cher, she put out a cover version of this song in 2013 and credited Miley. She was like, "This is a Miley Cyrus song. I really love it, and I wanted to put it on my album." And I really loved Cher's version, and I went back and I was like, "Oh, I forgot Miley did this." So I was like, I heard the Cher version, like it's more fresh in my mind. But Miley sells it. It's again just a wonderful country ballad. It's going in Let's Dance. Um, very hard on its sleeve. Highly recommend. Again, a little underrated. Most people forget about it. And then we come to Can't Be Tamed. This is Miley sort of, shedding a little bit of that good girl image and getting into grown Miley. And this is, again, an album that I feel like some people, I don't know, people sleep on. They don't really pay its dues for. So this is a little bit out of order. The first song is actually Liberty Walk. And this is when she's getting a little bit more, full on pop, a little bit more almost, there's a little bit of like, you can sense the trajectory to hip hop. Like that bridge isn't too far off in the distance. But Liberty Walk is like very urgent, very overproduced, but I don't mind it. You know, it's like a freight train hitting you. And it was an earworm for me in 2010. And you know, it does its thing. I'm putting it in a Let's Dance. I mean, it's also a really important message. This is a song about like female empowerment, but also empowerment for everyone to just like, you know, don't take the abuse, like stand up and make a statement, you know, claim your freedom. Who owns my heart? Yeah, I don't know. It's a little lackluster for me. You know, Rock Mafia produced a lot of this record, and it's fine. It's going in simple song. Don't hate it. It's a fun dance song. It's Miley being a little more Kesha esque. Um, you know, she was obviously kind of inspired to do that. And then, of course, we have Can't Be Tamed, which I will put up here in Let's Dance. I almost could make a case for Adore You. I mean, Can't Be Tamed is iconic. I just remember seeing the music video and just being like my jaw on the floor and being like, Miley is like breaking free. You know, she's the bird in the cage and she's, you know, the new hot topic. And of course, this was only the beginning of Miley getting controversial, right? Like we thought Miley was already getting risque, and then it consistently got more, you know. Anyway, we'll get to that. um, so we have another country cover here with Every Rose Has Its Thorn. A beautiful, the artist Poison is the original artist of the song. And I have heard that version, and I vastly prefer Miley's. Just I like the reverb, the space around it, the tempo, you know, the echoing percussion. It lifts off the ground a little more. What would otherwise be a more plaintive kind of country-esque ballad. So I, you know, give it props for that, though I do have to dock it a little bit for the fact that it is a cover, obviously, but I will put it in Let's Dance. Two More Lonely People. This record is filled with bops, by the way. Okay, this record is filled with bops. So, you know, Two More Lonely People, 100% going in Let's Dance. I can get my life to this. I mean, I love the da-da-dum, da-da-dum, in my heart I break it down. It's like, oh, it's just so electrifying. So much of this record, the tempo is just like relentless. Just keeps going. Just really high octane, really wonderful. What we wanted from it's what I really needed from her. But then we slow things down and we get a really earnest, you know, folk pop country ballad. And this is something that, you know, again, this is the other song I would argue is the most criminally underrated of her discography. Forgiveness and Love is definitely going in Adore You, but I could make a case for it in being I Would Die For You. This song is almost on that level. And I may put it up there once all said and done, because I was listening to it like nonstop that summer and just really feeling sort of the highs and swells of the melody and just the melancholic nature to it. It's brilliance. It's brilliance. I want to check if Miley. Yeah, so Miley has writing credits on every song except for Every Rose, and that's really good to hear. And a couple songs she only is credited with as a writer with this guy John Shanks. Basically, Stay, Scars, Take Me Along, and Robot are all almost solely written by Cyrus. So that's impressive. We have Permanent December. Very Kesha. Again, this feels like something that could have been on Kesha's debut record. It's fun. It's electropop. But it's also, you know, kind of like jaded because it's like, you know, it's stating that these boys don't actually do, you know, aren't filling the hole, this hunger that I have. It's going in Let's Dance for sure. Stay, oh gosh. Now Stay is definitely a strong one. It probably is gonna go in Adore You for me. This one definitely would not go in I Would Die For You, but you know, Stay is just, you know, again, the kind of balladry I'm here for. I would argue that Scars is one of my least favorite songs on the record, but that doesn't mean it's not that good. But I think I would probably just put it down. I'd probably put it down at Simple Song. And then we have Take Me Along. Oh my God. You know, Take Me Along. Like, I get this song just takes off with the guitars. It's going in Let's Dance. Robot is a tough one. I feel like sometimes I'm really not vibing with kind of the more is more approach to the production. I think it swallows itself up a little bit, but I do love certain aspects of the verses. Um, so this is a hard one for me because if I'm gonna be completely honest, I am sort of feeling like I should put it in wild card because I do feel like it's an important song, but it's maybe not melodically coming together the way it could, and sonically, more importantly, it's a little overproduced. I get she's going for that synthetic thing though. She's trying to sound like a robot. But this is a tough one. If it's going in wild card, it would go towards the top when I rearrange these for sure. And then we have My Heart Beats for Love. This is a wonderful closing statement of the record. It's a put your lighter or put your phone up in the air kind of song. Like, I wholly support this one. It's going in Adore You. Boy, we still don't have anything in that bottom category, and I am still, I think, being very favorable to discography, but that is going to change. But Miley stated at the time that she wanted to do one more pop record and then she was going to take a break from music for a while. And boy, did she take a break. 4 years, over 4 years. It's kind of crazy to think about. No, over 3 years she took off from putting out a record or largely any new music at all until 2013 when she came back with We Can't Stop. And then we come into the bangers era. So this is where maybe things start to get a little more controversial. I was definitely here for bangers. I was excited for it when it came out. The first song on the record is Adore You, and it's a bit sleepy, but it's definitely an interesting companion to the more hip hop and upbeat parts of the record. So it having this sort of more heartfelt piano driven ballad is melody is refreshing. So it's going to go in simple song for me. We Can't Stop is iconic. It's her other big hit. And obviously there is so much about this song that is spectacle, that is controversy, that is, you know, licking things and being overtly sexual. It was all Miley's new image with the short hair. I wasn't a fan of the short hair. I'm not gonna lie. I remember when Miley like revealed that she had cut her hair, and I was just like, no. I mean, I was gay growing up, but I thought Miley was a very attractive girl. So I loved her long brunette hair, and it was like, no, you can't do this. But yeah, Miley was feeling herself. We Can't Stop, ultimately, I think it's gonna go in simple song. I respect it for the culture to that respect. And it is, undeniable in that regard. I think it's veering into hip hop territory that I wasn't, especially at the time, really resonating with. But, because especially like I was in college too, and I was, seeing the party culture, and Miley was very much at that age too, where she just wanted to party. And, I don't know. I was kind of like a bit of a square. So I was sort of like, me. Why don't we stop? Why can't we stop? I can remember I kept thinking that. We have SMS Bangers featuring Britney Spears. It's Strut My Stuff, by the way. Strutting My Stuff. Bangers. This song, I mean, this album was just like so head scratchingly crazy. I remember at the time, especially just thinking like, wow, Miley's really changed. Listening to this record, it was just like, wow, like this is raunchy. This is just like aggressive hip hop, urban pop music. And, now I'm like, this was just a phase for her, but it's crazy. I thought this was literally going to be her music from now on. I was like, I don't know if she's ever going to go back to doing, her old country pop stuff. But I was, you know what? I'll give it that. It's SMS is a banger. Mike Will made it, and the producers on Bangers really knew what they were doing. I'm gonna give them credit for that. The record is fire when it needs to be. Pharrell, Rock City, Oren Yol, they all kind of bring this interesting kind of urban pop blend for the record, and it's a quite wild ride. 4x4. Okay, so hold on. Where am I here? But at the end of the day, I do feel like I have to be fair and say that although I wouldn't put it low in simple song, I wouldn't quite put it up in this category. Um, but I'm gonna be honest with you, 4 by 4 is a jam because doing a country parody kind of hip hop song, I think was brilliant for Miley at the time, and it just, again, is an undeniable tempo to it that you just can't help but get swept up in. So I enjoy it. I think, this is the one with French Montana, I believe. Round and round and away we go. I'm a female rebel, can't you tell? Can't you tell? Like, it's brilliant. You can't deny that it is brilliant, okay? Like, completely, like, subverting this country girl stereotype and making it, like, this kind of crazy, devil may care character. I mean, it's kind of brilliant to like look at, like as an art piece in some ways. Okay, my darling is definitely. Can we all agree that this song is like auto-tuned to oblivion and very like monotonous and not really that. It's not really that special. It's not really that special. It's a bit snoozy. Um, I don't think it's that controversial for me to put it in bad mood, is it? Okay, well, we'll see. Wrecking Ball. Obviously, this song is a staple. I am gonna put it in. I gotta be honest with you. I do think it's a little overrated. She's got stronger ballads. Is it cruel for me to put it in Let's Dance? I don't know. We'll reevaluate. We'll reevaluate that. Love Money Party. You know what? I'll put it in Wild Card. It's a little bit of a bop, but it's not really my kind of music. Okay, I think this is the one with Future. Get It Right. Again, this is very Pharrell. It's a fun song. It's a fun song. It's a stomping fun song. What are we gonna do? F you. I got two letters for you. She's really straining her vocals on this one, which is parody kind of. It's kind of parodic. Parodic. Am I making that word up? I don't know. I don't know how to feel about it. It's a bit of a wild card for me. It's got some like dubsteppy kind of production, which feels very much out of place, even though it is bombastic. And the production and in the vocalizations, it's a bit all over the place for me. Do My Thing. I'ma do my thing. Oh, 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 oh. I'll put it in simple song. Shout out to Do My Thing. I mean, it's really like, again, not my kind of music, but it reminds me of MIA a little bit, but like it's also like that kind of like nasty southern. And what I mean by nasty is I mean like gritty, like that gritty southern hip hop. Like it feels like a Ti could be on this song or something. It's not my least favorite on the record by any means. Maybe You're Right. And then Maybe You're Right was always sort of like, okay, this is like old Miley. This is old Miley. This is like classic. Definitely going in Let's Dance. Much prefer that to Someone Else. I think Someone Else would have been a better second to last song. I think Maybe You're Right would have like very EDM. You know what I just realized is where is Drive? Did I forget Drive? Oh man. Hold on one sec.
Sweet niblets.
Well, that sucks. I'm sorry. Well, I'll retroactively add it because I know I can do that, but I don't have Drive. I don't know. I had to make this myself. It takes so long. I don't know. I remember the reason why I don't have it is because I had to go back and listen to it because I remember it was one of the songs on Bangers I did not like. Back in the day, and I have not heard it since. So I'm sorry. Drive would have gone in bad mood. I hate that it's not in here. Oops. Oh well. Drive would go there. I'm sorry, I forgot it. But anyway, Someone Else is going to go in wild card. We've got the 3 bonus tracks. Why do I not like Drive? Yeah, it just doesn't do it for me melodically. I get the sentiment. Again, these aren't really problems with the songwriting or the lyrics. It's just the production, the pacing of the melody and the rhythm is just not there for me. Drive feels kind of it's just like hard dubstep mixed with like trap beats, which I don't know, to me doesn't like it goes together, but it's not really working for me. I don't know. So out of the 3 bonus tracks, my favorite is Rooting for My Baby. I love the "Ooh, ooh," and I just love the wistful guitar, it's something we don't have so much on the record. So it's the least hip hop. Not that I don't always like the hip hop stuff. Again, it's this album, it's a journey. It's a journey. Um, so Rooting for My Baby will go, yeah, we'll put it in simple song. So the same problem I have with Drive, I have with Hands in the Air. I like On My Own a little bit more. So I'm gonna put On My Own in Wild Card. I'm gonna put Hands in the Air in Bad Mood. I don't know, that's not too controversial. Let's move on here to Miley Cyrus and Her Dead Pets. This is a long album, and I gotta be honest with you, the first half of the record I have not listened to since it came out. I feel like the second half is way more interesting. It's when she kind of calms down a little bit and gets more cerebral. The melodies become a little more pronounced. The first half of the record just feels like a really manic drug trip. Do It, the lead song, has some merit because, the sampling, the melody, it's a little more memorable. So for me, I give Do It a little bit of prop. So I will put it up in simple song. It's not a simple song. It's kind of ironic. But and then we also have Karen Don't Be Sad, which is another one that I will put up there as well. Um, I don't know who Karen is. It's so interesting because I know that this song is so much about different pets that she's had, but I find it hard to believe she named a pet Karen. But the Flaming Lips, influence here is just a little too much for me. That's not an artist that I remember I was like, "Should I check him out?" And then I was like, "I don't think I'm that interested in." But yeah, I don't know who Karen is. If anyone knows more detail, apparently this is like reminiscent melodically of a Flaming Lips song from 2002. So he's sort of copying himself, Wayne Coyne, or Dennis Coyne, that's his name. And so kind of, I don't know, just riffing off that melody, I suppose. And then the Floyd song, yeah, the Floyd song, it's sentimental. Floyd was her dog who passed away. And I give Floyd props for being like really earnest with the lyrics. But it just runs away from it just doesn't have any staying power for me. A lot of this record's hard to listen to, and I feel like that's probably not something that is controversial to say. Something about Space Dude, I mean, it's the guitar doesn't really go anywhere. Um, yeah, a lot of these are gonna go in Bad Mood, and a couple might go in Unholy, so get ready for that. Because we're just not looking for a melody. We're not looking for a melody. I'm gonna put Space Boots in Wild Card. It's a little more grounded. Effin' Effed Up is gonna be my first Unholy entry, and I mean, it's a shorter song. It's like a minute, so I don't think that's that controversial. But BB Talk is a bright spot on this record. This is like one of the songs that actually had a music video, because it's like an actual song. So yeah, I'm gonna put it up. I think I'm gonna put it up here. With Simple Song. It's got a melody. It's got some stuff we can chew on, and I appreciate that. It's really pondering some stuff about a relationship gone sour. If Wiki doesn't really do it for me. Bang Me Box. I guess I'll give it Wild Card. It's really kind of a sad, what she's singing about, like being treated as such a sex object. Um, Milky Milky Milk. Yeah, I mean, again, I'm all for experimental, but girl, it's not working. It's not working. It's not working for me.
It is torture.
And it's not working. I don't think it is for a lot of people. I don't think it's too controversial. We got Slab of Butter. I don't even remember these song titles. It's like this album it is kind of forgettable. Yeah, I guess I'll give it a little bit of credit. I'll put it in Bad Mood. We got I'm So Drunk. I'm So Drunk will go as well. It's interlude like Effin' Effed Up, so I don't feel bad putting it down there. It's not really a song. I Forgive You. Boy, she really sounds stoned on these songs. Yeah, it just don't do it. It's not working for me. But we hit a bright spot when we get to I Get So Scared. This is the part of the record where I was like, oh, thank you. Like, this is a complete 180 for me. I Get So Scared will definitely go up here, though I would put it above a bunch of these. And then we have Lighter. Oh my god, Lighter is brilliant. Let's see, I'm gonna put Lighter in Adore You. It's probably my favorite song on the Dead Pets record. Oh, the space around it. It's very warm and tropical, with the echoes and the reverb. And then, of course, this just simple kind of melody and sentiment. It's like a really earnest love song. Yeah, this is where the album starts to come together for me. Lighter is, a real bright beacon of light in a sea of kind of mess on this record. Because at this part of the record, it's like the trip has become very much esoteric and transcendental, and I appreciate the songs at the end of the record, even if they're hard to digest. I do appreciate them for being elevated in that way. Tangerine ultimately doesn't work for me, but I appreciate it to a certain extent. But I'm still gonna put it in bad mood. Tiger Dreams, on the other hand, I'm still gonna only put it in wild card, but it is definitely it's a Ariel Pink. This is a song that is well, trippy is one way of describing it. Describing a dream in such a, honest and kind of disturbing way. Yeah, well, I mean, it's disturbing because it's so, psychedelic and nonsensical, but like profound. And this is where, I think Miley, either on accident or on purpose, is sort of making perhaps some of the most profound music of her career. And that's why I think this record is kind of brilliant, because it is like a lot like a bad trip. Well, not a bad trip. It's like a trip in general, where a lot of it's bad, but there is some like enlightened sort of art to it. You do get some great art from it. And a lot of it's just splatter on the wall and kind of a mess. But then some of the colors together are like, I would have never thought to put those colors together. This is brilliant. This is like transcendental. So that's how I feel about Tiger Dreams. Haunting and kind of unsettling, and it's very plotting, and it feels kind of weighted down, but it definitely feels esoteric, and I'm definitely in for that kind of. I'm definitely here for that kind of vibe, even as a stone cold sober listener, because I've never really had a drug trip, and I imagine listening to this record while having one would be quite something. I still feel like very much uh, the tug of that, even when I am not on that trip. When music can be a drug in itself, that is a very powerful thing. Evil is but a shadow is almost at that level, but it's still, I mean, maybe not as melodically or sonically interesting. What she's saying is very interesting, and I'm here for the lyrics. I just am not so much into the sonic vibe of it. I'll put it in wild card. I mean, again, just for the lyrical content, because it really does feel like she's having some serious, profound realizations about life, and they're very, important for us to hear. So her kind of all suddenly going into this very kind of heightened like awareness is really kind of refreshing. Cyrus Skies, it's very like Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, just like that kind of like, yeah, plotting alternative electro pop, like alternative um experimental stuff. It's just like I want to respect it, but I can't get into the melodies. One Sun picks up the tempo. Again, this is an environmental message song. I feel like it would go very much along with Wake Up America. I'm gonna put One Sun up in simple song because I do enjoy it. Miley Tibetan Bowls is a meditation interlude, and I'm going to put it up in simple song because I do think it is a beautiful vocalization experimental track. She vocalizes in a very emotive way, and she has these chimes and percussive instruments, these bells that just clear the mind. It's like, okay, we're really feeling we're reaching somewhere spiritual. We're reaching somewhere spiritual. There's obviously Buddhist undertones, to a song that references Tibetan anything. So I feel like we're in the Himalaya and we're sort of just, what is that? What is that? Uh, Holy site, Lhasa, I believe it's called, a holy town in Tibet where there's a ton of monks that do spiritual rituals. It takes us there. It's very visual. I see so much visual stuff when I listen to it. It's like mountains, mist. And then we close out the record with two very earnest, childlike, and heartfelt, deeply emotional love letters to two pets. Pablo the Blowfish, rest in peace. This song is so gut wrenching in how simple it is. And, again, something about taking drugs is that it really strips away some of the facade around being an adult. And you feel the child inside really speaking through you. So even though Miley is at this point like 22 years old, it sounds like it could have easily been written by someone, 10 years old, 8 years old. You can hear the inner 8-year-old singing, and I appreciate that because there's no pretense here. Devastation over losing a pet, no matter how small, even if it's just a goldfish or a blowfish. So I'm still only going to put it in simple song, but I definitely, especially when she breaks up, it's a little camp. It's a little camp because it's like, girl, this is a blowfish. But rest in peace, Pablo. It's like almost like she's making a joke out of it by like overplaying the. But she's obviously very emotional. When you do a lot of drugs, you have emotional sides to the trip, so you'll cry over anything. But we close out with Twinkle Song, and I do think Twinkle Song is brilliant in its sort of madness. What does it mean? What does it mean? Ah! Like it's abrasive, and at first it's kind of like whoa there. But for all of that, I'm going to put it in. It's not Let's Dance, but I'm going to put it higher up because it definitely deserves recognition in that regard, for being just such a sort of earnest and hard on your sleeve tribute um, to life in general and figuring this all out, and ending on a note of like humanity and morality and like what does this all mean. It's a way to make the microcosmic macrocosmic. She starts out just singing about a pen, and then suddenly it's like about the whole world and the universe. It's very, very trippy. All right, moving on. Hands of Love is a song from the movie Free Held. So this is another soundtrack song. Don't love the chorus as much as I love the verses sonically, but it definitely will get simple song. And we move into Younger Now, which is an album that I think Miley kind of completely abandoned at this point. This is her art pop. We don't talk about it. But you know what? I did review. This is the first Miley album I did review on my channel, and I have such an affinity for country Miley. So seeing that come back was so exciting to me. The opening song, Younger Now, is iconic for being so unapologetically youthful and hopeful and also restrained in image. I like seeing her dressed in 1960s clothing, kind of mimicking old 1950s, 1960s videos. It's also a bit of a tribute to Dolly Parton in that regard. So I'm going to put it up here in Let's Dance, with a really wonderful melody that I think is underrated. Malibu is a breezy summer in Malibu, and it's very bittersweet. It's going to go up in Let's Dance as well. Again, a single that had me very excited for Miley's new direction, which of course everyone was like, goodness gracious, girl. Like you went from We Can't Stop to you're going all over the place. You're shredding off the urban culture like moniker for doing this whole, country homegirl Tennessee thing. But she's got LA in her. She's also got Tennessee, and this was a tribute to Tennessee. I really appreciated it. Rainbow Land. I've wanted Dolly and Miley to do a duet, and in my review, I talk about this. Rainbow Land is so disappointing because it's a wasted Dolly Parton feature. It's also it's a very. I'm going to put it in wild card because I do appreciate some of the mixing of it and the way that Dolly is speaking on the track. Like, hey, Miley, I'm old school. I'm going to run this back for you. I'll record a cassette with your voice. Like, it's so cute. I give it points for that. But the song itself is just like, like something you'd sing to children. It's like meaningless. Like, It's like, "Oh, we're gonna live in a rainbow land." It's like, okay, like, it's just a platitude. I don't really feel that much depth to it. A Week Without You is fine. It's fine. Miss You So Much, more I would put higher up, a simple song. I Would Die For You is definitely going up in Let's Dance. Again, it's not exactly a dancing song, but it's one of my favorite ballads on the record. You know, she's got just the most soft and delicate vocal. It's very earnest. Thinking, it's more of the up-tempo stuff on the record that doesn't really hit for me. Bad Mood, I gotta be honest with you, I'm not gonna put in Bad Mood, but it's a song I can only listen to in certain vibes. You know, it's not necessarily always, I'm not always in the mood for it. Gotta be in a bad mood. You gotta love someone. Simple song. She's Not Him. You know, I want to love this one. Still gonna put in wild card. All right, and then we're gonna do inspired. So inspired, we go all the way up to adore you. Wait, it's been a while since we've been up in the top here. Inspired definitely deserves to be up there. This is a song that, you know, it's so Dolly Parton. It had me so excited for the record. And I was a little disappointed the record didn't have more that sounded exactly like that bluegrass, sort of homegrown melodic country stuff. But, you know, this album is understated and simple in that regard. And yeah, there's not a lot to look back on like years down the line, but I still have a special place in my heart for it because, you know, Miley was just channeling her godmother, you know, her Dolly. I hope she makes more records like this in the future. I don't think this is the only record she's going to make like this. At some point, she's going to want to do stuff like this again. Okay, then we go back and we get a little more urban. We have She Is Coming. Mother's Daughter is a bop. Mother's Daughter is a bop. It's definitely going in Let's Dance. Unholy though, wild card for me. I know it's a little harsh, but some of this, you know, for example, Dream, I'm gonna put it honestly, okay, I'll put it in bad mood. Drugs rule everything around me. You know, the more kind of trappy hip hop stuff that's also a lot about drug use, it's kind of like it's I don't need it. I don't need it. It's not the kind of stuff I'm coming to Miley for. We have the RuPaul feature. I got Catitude. Um, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it's a little bit of a guilty pleasure because it's just like RuPaul's music is so campy, like gay pop. It's like you can't get more you can't get more like gay EDM than RuPaul. But you know what? It has its place. I'm gonna ultimately I was thinking I was gonna put it on in Unholy, but I think I will just kind of just put it in bad mood just because I feel like, you know, like it has a time and place when you're wanting to, you know, have fun and like not take life so seriously and just serve on the runway and be like raunchy. It's got its, you know.
I'm about to boom through you like a wrecking ball.
I can't believe this is happening right now.
Girl, get on my back.
Party Up the Street, I'll put it in simple song. It's grown on me. When I first heard it, I was like, "Oh, it's got potential." I love this sort of like, you know, tropical, almost dance hall, you know, pulse to it that doesn't fully explode like I'd like it to, even though dance hall is always somewhat subtle. Sway Lee and Miley, you know, they go together kind of nicely. Even though his vocals are not great. Can't sing. He really doesn't sing that well. But you know, his vocals being off are somewhat like endearing about it because the song is a little bit off. You know, like the pitch, it's like, but it's building. It's like you can feel the party down the street. You can feel like the waves of summer coming at you from like a distance, you know, and you're like intrigued. You're like, I want to get a little closer. I want to see what's going on over there. Maybe the bass will come up a little more. Like I want that more, and I think that's got something about it that is what draws me to that song. The most mm, wild card, wild card. But Slide Away is definitely going up in Adore You. This is sort of the sister song to Malibu, the end of Miley and Liam's relationship, whereas Malibu was sort of about the rekindling of it. Obviously, When I Look at You was the beginning, when they first met. So Slide Away is very bittersweet for that. But this song retroactively got added to the She Is Coming EP this year, actually, even though it was supposed to be a part of another EP that never came to fruition. Because we ended up getting the next record, which is, boy, I gotta move through this. This is gonna be such a long video. Plastic Hearts. I have also reviewed this record on my channel. What WTF do I know? This record is full of bops. Going in Let's Dance, Plastic Hearts is also going in Let's Dance. Angels Like You. We got our fourth I Would Die For You song. If you've watched my review, you know how I feel about this. This is, apex Miley balladry, but like classic with like a rock explosion that is just so satisfying. The growling vocal, the wailing feeling and emotion and melodrama fully chef's kiss. Angels Like You is perfection. Prisoner with Dua Lipa is a fun time. I'm gonna put it in Let's Dance. Give Me What I Want. That's one is a little bit for me. It's almost a skip on the record. One of my least favorites. But then I gotta be honest with you, I'm not a Billy Idol fan. Nightcrawling might be my least favorite song on the record, which I know is really sad, but it's just not my vibe. Nightcrawling is a little too grunge punk. It's a little too that heavy rock, which is not really my thing. Midnight Sky is incredible. Once again, going in Adore You. We need to say any more. High, put it in Simple Song. High it's a grower for sure. It grew on me for sure. Hate Me is a similar one. In fact, now I'll put Hate Me in Simple Song as well. Bad Karma, I really do want more from this version. I feel like the leaked one was better. But Joan Jett does her thing. Ultimately, I'll put it in Simple Song. Never Be Me is a wild card. Again, it's not one that grabs me melodically as strong as some of the others. Golden G-String, yeah, I'll put it in Let's Dance. This is a very important reflective song for Miley because it's, talking about her career thus far and like the different kind of things she's done, the controversies and reflecting on it. Edge of Midnight, the remix with Stevie Nicks, is going to go right up next to Midnight Sky. It's kind of hard to separate those two because they're kind of the same song. And then we have two covers. We've got Heart of Glass. Honestly, it doesn't do much for me. And then we have Zombie, which is a song I do like. I'll put it up in Simple Song by the Cranberries. Miley's version is great. She really has that husky voice for it. She really can. But speaking of a dark, smoking 40 packs of cigarettes a day voice that can serve rock so well, her cover of Nothing Else Matters, which is not only on the Metallica Revisited album that came out in 2021, but it is also on Elton John's The Lockdown album, The Lockdown Sessions. I ultimately decided to include it on here. I wasn't going to originally, but I figured it's credited as like a Miley Cyrus song featuring Elton John, Watt, Yo-Yo Ma on the cello, which I think is incredible. And so I ultimately decided, you know what, it's gonna, now I do have to give it, I'm gonna put it in Let's Dance, but if she had written the song, I would have put it higher. It is a cover. That is like one of the best Metallica songs. It's one of the only Metallica songs I really know, but I can safely say it is one of the best Metallica songs. Attention, I'm just going to put it in Bad Mood. It's not really a song. It's an interlude to the beginning of her live album that came out last year. I almost shouldn't have included that. I don't know. I thought it was a song when I put it in, and I was like, oh, it's only like a minute and a half, but whatever. And we finally come to the end. Now, I haven't reviewed Endless Summer Vacation. I was debating on it when it came out, but I haven't. So this is great. This is a chance for me to talk about it. Flowers is overrated. This song has such longevity on the charts, and it's crazy because no one would have expected it. Up disco. This album it's not my favorite Miley record, but Flowers is fine. I'm going to put it in Simple Song, but it is perfectly mid. And I'm just really shocked that this song took off because it doesn't scream big hit to me. It's bizarre. Midnight Sky. Why didn't Midnight Sky take off like that? Or Prisoner even. I would have rather have seen Prisoner because I know that was a single as well. It's very bizarre that Miley had such success with this song. Jaded is the song. Jaded is the song that deserves the success that it's going to go up and adore you. Jaded, watch the Miley Cyrus like on like concert on Disney Plus that she put out recently for this album. I really feel a lot more of these songs when I see her perform them on that, like that performance. Just really, again, Angels Like You vibes. Like the chorus is just like hitting you in the chest and like making you feel all the feels. She does it like no one else. She's really leaning into her voice is so comfortable and at home now with like this style of music with Plastic Hearts and somewhat with Endless Summer Vacation. She's really found a home for her voice because it's gone very husky and kind of rough around the edges, but it's got, as someone said, a Stevie Nicks quality, which is really good for rock. Rose Colored Lenses is definitely a grower. At first, I was like, I don't know if I love this. It sounds like it could be on Dead Pets. I'm going to ultimately put it in Simple Song, but it feels like Dog Days of Summer, just sort of laying around, being kind of lazy, getting lots of sun, wearing shades. This record does give a good, feel of like being by the pool in the heat of summer and just like being in that vibe. 1,000 Miles, oh, this song is so heartfelt, so bittersweet. It's going to go and adore you as well. It's so sad because this is about a friend of hers that committed suicide back in 2016. So she's actually had this song for a long time. She talks about it in the Disney Plus documentary. And she reworded it for this record and changed the lyrics a bit. But it is very, it speaks of, her not knowing where she's going in her life and just sort of just being along for the ride and like looking back sometimes and just going, wow. And it really hits home, like so many of her songs do. I think You though is maybe a little bit more pedestrian. Like it's fine, but it's not exactly a song that I'm feeling like a lot of replay value for. Handstand would have definitely gone on Dead Pets. And actually, I'm going to put it up in Simple Song because I do appreciate the production. I think it's, just that right level of psychedelia that we need on this record. River is her, like for the gays moment. And yeah, it's working for me. It's going to go on Let's Dance. This one is electrifying. It's kind of a return to form for full-on pop Miley. And, this record has that diversity of sound, but I think Violet Chemistry is stronger. I really enjoy the, kind of slinky kind of club vibe of this song mixed with just the great melody. It's just perfection to me. I definitely one of my favorite songs on the record. Muddy Feet is definitely one of my least favorite songs on the record. It features Sia, and I don't know, it just doesn't really do Sia just does some vocalizations, she doesn't actually sing on it. Yeah, it's a little underwhelming. I think a lot of people are in agreement that this is, like, their least favorite song on ESV. It's not controversial. Controversial interestingly, I think Wild Card might go in Wild Card. I mean, it's honestly good enough, I think I could put it in Simple Song. It's safe, though. Some of these latter half the record songs are a little bit eh. Island is a vibe. Island is a vibe. I'm gonna put it up in Let's Dance. Tropical vibes, we're always here for that. Dance Holly almost. And then Wonder Woman, yeah, it's a little trite. It's a little trite. I think Twinkle Song is a great example of a really emotional piano ballad that soars to heights that Wonder Woman can't reach because Wonder Woman's taking itself a little too seriously. And it feels cut off in a way. Like, I do feel the emotion, and for that, I am still going to put it in Simple Song, not like that low. But it's not wowing me like I'd like it to. I mean, the vocal and the piano for her, Miley and vocal, Miley and piano is always going to be a winning combination. It's just, I could get more from it. But ultimately, I'm pretty satisfied, and like looking at it, it's like it's got some lows. ESV definitely has some highs, and let's go and just round up. As far as the bottom is concerned, I'm pretty much happy with all of this. Um, like, okay, what's the worst song that I have here in Bad Mood? I would probably put, all of the except for Tangerine, I would probably put them all down here. I'd definitely put like some of these up higher, put like Attention down here, Catitude down here, My Darling kind of like in here. Um, yeah, something like that. And then on this tier, I would probably the best songs on this tier, I don't know. It's really hard for me to say. I think maybe like Week Without You, East Northumberland High, Robot, um, Someone Else, the Floyd song, Thinking, She's Not Him. Oops, Thinking went up a little too high. Maybe the most, go up a bit. I don't know. My least favorite might be Give Me What I Want on this tier. For Simple Song, I mean, again, I'm pretty fine. I don't feel like I need to reorder these. I just don't think it really matters. And Let's Dance, I feel the same way. These songs are where they are, and I feel pretty good about it. Adore You, though, I could rearrange. Like, what songs are like on the high end of Adore You? 100% Bottom of the Ocean. Like, Bottom of the Ocean is almost in I Would Die For You category, and I honestly feel like I should put 5 songs in the top. So I think it's going to be between Obsessed, Forgiveness and Love, and Bottom of the Ocean. Because these are all definitely, at the top here. This is really hard. I'm not sure which one. I think it might be Obsessed. I think it might be Obsessed. And then for the top here, When I Look at You, Angels Like You, The Climb, Obsessed, Seven Things. Then we go to Bottom of the Ocean, then we go to Forgiveness and Love, then we go to See You Again, then we go to The Driveway, then we go to Goodbye, then we go to My Heart Beats for Love. Come on there. Come on. Then we go to Lighter. Then we go to Jaded. These Four Walls might be a little lower down. Inspired, Midnight Sky, Edge of Midnight, These Four Walls. That's the order for this top category. I feel pretty good about that. So, like the top 10 songs are these, and I feel very good about saying that. But When I Look at You, I feel pretty good about putting them at the top. I just don't think, she's going to top that. Melodically, it just will keep pulling me back. What is your top 10, and what would your tier ranking look like? I'd be really interested to hear what your rankings would be in the comments. This is a longer video. Goodness gracious, these tier ranking videos always end up being quite long. But I hope it's not too offensive where I've put things. I really enjoy doing these. And like I said, I will link a bunch of tier ranking videos I've done of other artists. I've done Lady Gaga, I've done Lana Del Rey, I've done Madonna. So, if anyone's interested, Björk. So you can check those out. And I want to do more. So I've got more artists I want to do this for. So stay tuned. And yeah, I'll also link some of my Miley album reviews because I did review Plastic Hearts and Younger Now. I didn't review Endless Summer Vacation. I'm sorry I didn't, but I at least got a chance to talk about it now. Endless Summer Vacation is not as strong as Plastic Hearts for me, but it is a strong record, I'd say. For what it is, I'm happy with it. I wonder if there will be a volume 2. I've heard a lot of speculation about that, or at least a deluxe, because it does feel like a bit of a shorter record, but we'll see. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all have a wonderful, blessed day. Please give this a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you are new here for more content like this, and I will see you all in my next video. Peace, love, and light. Bye.